Okay, so what is EEDAR?
EEDAR is at this point the premier business intelligence company for the video game industry. We service almost every big publisher and help give them data so they lose less money on their games.
So what are some examples of the kinds of data that you collect?
So we look at every game that comes out in the US market, physical, retail, downloadable, every piece of downloadable content, and I have a group that plays them all, and we collect what are called objectively quantifiable data points, about 10 to 15,000 per game. So that isn't how much did I like the game, it's had co-op of 2 players, 16-player multiplayer, literary genre of science fiction for the story, isometric camera angle. And we collect thousands and thousands of these data points and then pull in partner data so that if you came up to me and said, I need to know the market spend on every first-person shooter game that was on the Xbox but not on the PlayStation, released in Q3 with at least an 80+ review score, we help people figure that out, everything from there to regression trending and forecasting. So we provide true business intelligence for the game industry.
Is there a lot of demand for this kind of stuff?
Yes, there is, because this used to be a hobbyist and enthusiast industry, and nowadays with dead budgets of $50, $60, $70 million, you can't afford to have too many of your games fail before your company goes out of business. So this is really what every other reasonable group does it. It's called due diligence. It's called, actually looking at what's going on in the market. And the game industry historically has not done enough of that. And that's why you see so many groups go out of business or make, say, a $10 million game that only has real potential to sell $5 million.
So if I was someone who wanted to work at EEDAR, that's my career path. What should I study? What should I do?
So we have a couple different groups. Our researchers we tend to hire, actually we hire a virtual cornucopia of people, but usually they're ex-video game testers. People who are used to looking at games for long periods of time for work. Not necessarily for fun, but say this is a good job and this is what I do. We also hire analysts who take large sets of data, review it, and we hire a good number of programmers. So if you're interested, jobs@eedar.com.
Very good. So a lot of these studies are actually, they're private. You can't talk about them. Are there any that you can talk about a little bit?
Yeah, we tend to do a couple of public ones per year, and if you search on EEDAR as a name, you'll usually find them immediately in Google. So for example, the SMU EEDAR study that we did on how do video games anchor or how do review scores skew people's perception of games was a public study. We usually almost always do a couple of talks at every trade show that's out there, and a lot of time we'll throw the slides up on the web. So either check our website or just Google us.
Cool. How much of your data is available to the public, like either through EEDAR or through other sites?
Sadly, almost none. And what it is, we have about 40 people, and how we pay all of those people to gather all of this data is we have very large companies, usually publishers, pay us a good amount of money to help supply them with data. And we're actually, it's a really good thing. We're being amazingly cost effective because in the olden days, say 10 years ago, a researcher would spend about 90% of their time gathering the data and 10% analyzing. And we're trying to flip it to where it's literally 10% gathering and 90% analyzing so that we have better, we plan better, we do better.
Very cool. Thank you very much.
The sort of things that, I want to do editorially often are the sort of things that, larger sites could never really do. Because they're just not set up to do it, and because they have a different mission. Those larger sites